We hear so much about the energy transition that's required as the world moves from fossil fuels to renewables. But what will the impact be on us day to day? And will I be able to charge my car when I need to? Back in 2015, in an effort to tackle climate change, countries around the world promised to transform how we produce and use energy. It means a lot of change and fast. I've decided to speak with some energy experts to understand precisely what our new energy landscape will look like. Danny, can you explain the energy transition which Australia is going through?
We have, first of all, got to deliver a future power system that can integrate close to 100% renewable electricity. We also need to ensure that Australia remains a global energy powerhouse as we are today, but powered by renewable energy. And finally, we need to make sure that the outcomes are better for people than they are today. And that means that we need to champion a consumer-led energy transition.
A consumer-led energy transition. Sounds like our country needs us. Because rather than just consuming energy, we'll all be producing energy. Farouk Gardiali says we'll be prosumers, producers and consumers. So someone like me with rooftop solar and a battery would be a prosumer.
Absolutely, absolutely. You are contributing to this new energy landscape. And then in the backdrop of this, you've got sustainability and ESG efforts from organizations, which is driving decarbonization. The energy landscape in Australia has pretty much changed from what used to be a very centralized way of distributing power to a very decentralized and a new energy landscape, as we call it.
Another fascinating development out of the energy transition is the emergence of microgrids. Microgrids are small-scale energy systems, generating, storing and distributing their own energy in a local area.
A microgrid could be as small as this building, where you just got a bit of solar, energy storage interacting with the grid. It could then be extended to a portfolio of buildings. Or you can then extend it to maybe a community, or even a suburb, where you can have a community battery storage as well as a microgrid participating in the grid.
Is there an example of a microgrid that's worked really well?
The microgrid at South Australia Produce Markets has delivered efficiency, most of all. We've been able to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions for them by 32%. The other outcome there is the reliability of the network. They reduced their dependence on the South Australian grid, the power grid. And as a result of that, through participation in the market, they were able to project a $4 million cost savings over the next 10 years.
Despite the naysayers, Australia is experiencing remarkable growth in electric vehicle or EV ownership. And questions are being raised about whether our energy infrastructure will be able to cope.
By switching our cars and our trucks and our buses from petrol and diesel today to electricity, we are going to end up with a more energy efficient system, but requiring more electricity to make our world keep moving. Well, over the last 5 years, we've added something like a bit over 100,000 electric vehicles onto our roads in Australia. By the end of this decade, we're expecting around 3 million electric vehicles on our roads. So a sector that is absolutely booming and not just increasing gradually, but really increasing exponentially. One of the great things about electric vehicles is that it puts the power back in the hands of the consumers. The new petrol station is in your driveway. By getting home at the end of the workday, plugging your car in, that's how you refuel.
But with population density on the rise, not everyone will have the benefit of off-street parking to charge their EV. A trial being undertaken in councils across New South Wales is looking at street-side charging stations.
1 in 4 households don't have access to off-street parking, and so by providing easily accessible, convenient on-street parking solutions, we can actually help drive the adoption of electric vehicles. Our EV street-side charging project is turning power poles into EV chargers. We're working with the Australian Renewable Energy Agency and a number of technology partners to attach EV chargers to the side of 50 power poles across Sydney council areas and the Hunter region of New South Wales.
What you see here is the 22 kilowatt Pro AC state-of-the-art Schneider Electric charger. In 2 hours of charging, it can give you about 250 kilometers of range.
The goal is that you'll be able to drive up, find the charger on an app called Exploring. You'll be able to park, you plug in, and off you go, you're charging.
Lane Cove Council on Sydney's lower North Shore is an area with significant electric vehicle growth. But not everyone will be able to charge in their own garage.
Lane Cove has a population of just over 40,000 in an area of around 10 square kilometres. About a third of our residents live in apartments, so being able to charge at home is a challenge for a lot of our community. Putting chargers on street, close to units, close to shopping centres, recreation areas, just provides an easy and accessible charging point and support our community transition to EVs. Just trialling new technologies and new approaches to the placement of EV infrastructure just means that we're in a better position to make well-informed decisions to support our community transitioning with electric vehicles.
How prepared is Australia for this huge energy transition?
I think it's a huge challenge, but we have what we need. And I think we have what we need in terms of the technology, but also the people, the expertise that we need to make this happen. I don't want to underplay the scale of the challenge, but myself, I'm extremely optimistic, and I just feel like we can do it. I just feel like we can do it, and I am passionate about making it happen.
Baruch, are we on track to meet our future energy demands?
Joe, the future is bright, and I really look forward to it. We think of ourselves as impact makers. We are making a positive impact to climate change, as well as the energy transition and the new energy landscape. The technology to harness the new energy landscape is already here. It's viable, it's tangible, and it's available to all of us. What we really need is collective action.